Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to the video for Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree. My name is Ventus SG, and in this Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree build video guide, I'm going to give you an updated build for the Sword of Night and Flame. The Sword of Night and Flame is a straight sword from the base game that has two stances, one that shoots off a straight beam of magic, and another that sweeps the area with a wave of fire. With the new Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, they added a few new items that dramatically increases the damage potential of the Sword of Night and Flame. I tried out a few different builds, and in this video, I'm going to show you what I've come up with. But really quickly, before I show you the build, do me a really quick favor and sub to the channel with notifications on and like the video if you like Elden Ring. Alright, so for the equipment I'm using with this build, I've got two Swords of Night and Flame so I can use dual wield melee attacks with the sword. The Sword of Night and Flame has attribute scaling of E Strength and Dexterity and D Intelligence and Faith. It has stat requirements of 12 Strength and Dex and 24 Intelligence and Faith. For the finger seal, I'm using the Giant Seal to enhance Giant Flame's incantations because most of the attack incantations used with this build are fire. For talisman, you're going to want to first use Rellana's Cameo. Now this is a Shadow of the Erdtree DLC item that enhances attacks by 15% after maintaining the same stance for 2 seconds. Then there's the Shard of Alexander to greatly boost the attack power of skills, and the Ritual Sword Talisman to raise defense when HP is at max. For the fourth slot, you can either choose to use another attack type talisman, such as the Magic or Fire Scorpion Charm, to enhance the attack power of either stance, or you can go for a second defensive talisman. I personally prefer using a defensive talisman when boss fighting because there are other things on this build that buff the sword's skills damage. For the mixed physic, use the Opaline Hard tier to boost damage negation and the Magic Shrouding Crack tier to boost magic damage. Now, I specifically opt for the Magic Shrouding Crack tier over the Flame Shrouding Crack tier because the incantation Flame Grant Me Straight will boost fire damage, and there isn't anything like that to boost magic damage. The armor that I like wearing for this build is the Rakshasa Armor, a set that increases both your damage output and the damage that you take. Now, if you don't have this armor set, please see the video link on how to get it that will be posted on the end screen of this video titled How to Get Rakshana's Great Katana, because both the armor and the Great Katana drop at the same location at the same time. For your incantations, use Blessing of the Erdtree for healing over time, Golden Vow for enhanced attack and defenses, Flame Grant Me Strength to enhance your physical and fire affinity attack power, and for the last defensive buff spell, use Black Flame's Protection for physical damage negation. For attack incantations, use Giant's Flame Take Thee, Flame of the Fell God, Fire Serpent, and Ancient Dragon's Lightning Strike. Now, when it comes to your stats and how they should be placed for maximum efficiency with this build, your Vigor should be around 45 to the 55 range. Mine should be a little higher. I have mine set to 60 and don't see any problems, so it could stand to be a little lower, so maybe 50 to the 60 range. Strength I have cranked up to 50 just so I can do physical damage with the swords if need be, though if I didn't have the extra stat points to waste, I would have this much lower, at around 30 to 40. My dexterity is at the minimum. Intelligence is the second highest stat that you should have for this build so that Night Stance attack hits as hard as possible, so 55 to 60 on this one. Faith should be the highest stat for this build, so 60 at the lowest so the Flame Stance does the heavy lifting in the damage department. And nothing in this build uses Arcane, so you can have that at the lowest that it can go. How I use this build in combat is pretty simple. For enemies that do not see me before I approach them, use the Night Stance after holding the stance for 2 seconds. This gives the Rellana's Cameo Talisman a chance to take effect, boosting your damage. Then once I'm boosted, I let go with the Night Stance beam attack. For larger, stronger mobs, this should knock them over or at least deal an insane amount of damage so that they're pretty much one shot after that. This is only usually good for single targets, and charging it with Rellana's Cameo only works one time because most enemies you hit and don't die will be a little too aggressive to allow you to charge the stance again. For groups of mobs, one wave of the Flame Stance is all you really need, though it can be a bit more difficult to use Rellana's Cameo against a group of mobs if they see you. What I found out is that using Rellana's with the Fire Stance only really works on boss fights where your Spirit Ashes has the aggro of whatever you're fighting. So for any given boss, let the Spirit Ashes get its attention, then charge your stance with Rellana's, and depending on your distance from the boss, use one stance or the other. When you're not so close, use the Night Stance after charging. And if you can get a little closer to your target after charging, that's when you use the Flame Stance. The Flame Stance is the more powerful stance and normally will always do more damage. Try this build out and let me know what you think. Alright, and that's going to be it for this video. If you like this build, you can show me by hitting that like button. If you have any questions about this or anything else Elden Ring related, please drop them down in the comments. My name is Ventus SG, and thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.